Ooh. Hello, hello, if you are out there. Hello, hello, if you are watching this later. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. So much at RC Air Marshal. I tell you what, so much is up, and I forgot I could talk. I don't have to type. I can talk to you guys, which is great. Copters, crawlers, and planes, RC Pacific. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. John Noon's Airborne RC. How are you tonight? Aw, snap. Yeah, yeah. Here we go. I'm doing all right. Brian, how are you tonight? How is the operating going your way? Jackson RC Aviation. Saying hello to Brian Chambers. Good stuff. All right, so I'm going to go with you guys can hear me well. If you would though, let me know, help me out. I have had one long day. It's a good day, but it is nice and long. We'll get into it here in a little while. Oh, my neighbor here. And I see Randy here as well. How are you, Randy? What's going on, Michael Rochka? Turn up the heat. Yeah, you're right. I didn't actually turn on the heat here. Good point, Dave. I should do that. I will go down quick if I don't have heat. Hey, Farmer Man, thanks for checking in with me earlier. It was definitely appreciated. That little bit of extra motivation was nice. Get me home and ready for the show. Get me ready to talk to you guys. See what's going on your way. Maybe share some of what's going on my way as well. I'm excited to be here. If I wasn't excited, I'd be sleeping. So we're almost at 8 o'clock. A little bit early, which is good. So yeah, all day long, I've been running around. I'll get you guys some pictures here in a little bit. I'm going to email them to myself now during the at this moment, and then I'll be able to show you guys and talk to you guys about what it is I'm doing. I'll display it on the screen. 2. Send. All right. Leave that open, and then I'll pick it up from over here. Yeah, the beautiful Rhonda is upstairs taking care of the kids. And I didn't have enough time to prep for everything, but we're doing some changes in our house, and I'm going to have a studio set up. It's going to be nice and easy. It's also going to be easy to keep the kids out, and or have it upstairs. Hey, Bledsoe, how are you tonight? Nice to see you. And if we're upstairs, it'll be easier to manage where the kids are. Planes, archery, and table tennis. All right. Oh, yeah, were they air show pilots? That really stinks. And thanks for stopping in, planes, archery, and table tennis. That doesn't exactly flow off the tongue, but hey, I'm really glad you stopped in. And as a token of my appreciation, I give everybody a wrench, and I ask the room to welcome them for the first time. So everybody in the room, if you would, welcome planes, archery, and table tennis. He is a brother from another mother because he has planes in his name. Let me be polite and take out this gum. My apologies. Eating on the run. So, you know what else is exciting? And it's 8 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. We're officially starting the show. Something exciting today. Today is my 15th anniversary. Ron and I were married down near Fort Bragg, North Carolina, 15 years ago. And yeah, she was quizzing me on some of the things today about what was going on at my wedding. Michael Rochka wants a shout out for Air Marshal. Program works to perfection and videos taught me a lot I didn't know to make it foolproof. Thanks again, Dave. So what he's also referring to is during the Monday Marshall Madness is Michael Rochka had mentioned safe programming for a receiver, AR636, for the Avanti. And I think it was either during the show or, like right after, RC Air Marshal or Dave essentially sent him the file. So if you guys don't know, if you were to go into your radio and export a file, you can upload it, you can send an email, stuff like that. Plains Archery and Table Tennis says, oh, thank you, Bledsoe. I appreciate that. Thank you, Airborne. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, Pilot Ryan in the house. Thank you, Brian. I certainly appreciate that. I'll blow out those candles. Big 15, yeah, man. It's crazy. It's a shame. People these day and ages, they don't. I don't know what it is, but people just don't stay married as much anymore. We have to work for it. We really do. We have to work for it. But I don't begrudge anybody who stays together or separates. But for us, it's work, and taking care of the kids. I certainly appreciate it, Randy. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. So I'm going to read out Plains Archery Table Tennis. I'll have to watch the rerun if there is one. A little event is starting, and the guy needs everyone off their phones. Hope you have a nice stream. Well, thank you. I certainly appreciate that, and see you later. Thank you for the names of those pilots. We will have to read it again. Farmer Man is picking up on subs, 204. Congratulations that you, I'm sure you recently made it over 200. Michael Rochka, I installed. Okay. Yeah, definitely, Michael Rochka. It's always helpful when you have somebody else to show you something, for the first time. Thank you, Pilot Ryan, on that. Congrats. So, one of the things that I want to see in person is the long range video setup, but I do have the long range control setup. I do have I've switched over to the long range video setup. So if you guys don't know, let's say Fat Shark goggles, most of the time the module that's in them is 5.8 gigahertz as the signal. But Maytech, which is, say, for quads, and they're getting into more so planes, and they're supporting planes as far as the kind of like Spectrum with the smart stuff, but more of the program it yourself flight controllers, or at least do the configurations within the same thing that Dave is doing with Spectrum RC and the configuration manager, that you guys may have seen on his series and the other night in a stream. I do the same thing for flight controllers and for both planes and quads. There's two of them. One is iNav. That's the one for the navigation type stuff, whereas Betaflight is the one for your quads. So just like you guys do tuning of your AS3X, you turn your gains up and down, they actually do another tune. They call it PIDS tune. It's something integral differentiation. I forgot what it is, but it's essentially when you move your quad, you want your quad to move. You don't want it to move and then go slow. You don't want it to move and then shake. So they have to tune all that stuff. And those guys, when they're doing flips, they get it so well down that they move their stick they do their flip and they want it to, you know, come right back to steady. So it's pretty cool that those worlds are coming together, that people are, you know, learning to program the plane receivers as well through Dave. Farmer Man says he's buying a Sea-Doo soon for the cottage, looking at a 2009, 2010 Sea-Doo RX TX 255, 265 horsepower supercharged. All right, so one thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to check my mail. You've got mail. The reason I'm going to do that is a picture. So let's see. I can download this, and then I want to walk you guys through this picture that I have. It's what this is my my work today, what I did, and it's pretty cool. It was a lot of work today that I had to do. I was running around. If you guys can't tell, I'm basically dead. I'm very, very tired. Maybe you can see my eyes drooping. Let's see. Okay. Browse. Downloads. Resized. Okay. Okay. Yes. And then we're going to transition that in. I'll make it full screen for you guys though. Image 2. Full screen. Here we go. So as I walk you guys through this, I want to put myself back up on the back up on here as well. Logi camera. All right. Transition. So first I'll start off with the argon over here. I'll get out of the way. If you guys can read that, I want to make sure I see your chat as well. Where'd the chat go? There we are. All right. EQ in the house. All right. How's it going, EQ? How's South Carolina treating you? Gotta feed the dog. I'll be back. You know, it's cool, Bledsoe. You were talking about how your dog can stay outside in the weather. There's a guy who's here at our job site, and he raises the Alaskan Malamutes for the show. You know, you may have seen him on TV if you're talking about the if you're looking at the Westminster Abbey show. I'm not sure what it is, something like that. But you know, Alaskan Malamutes, they're just awesome. And of course, he's going to talk about how they love to just sit outside in the snow. He says, you know, those dogs are good down to negative 50 degrees. That's insane. So, argon gas, and it stinks. That's cool, Farmer Man. I'm going to try not to smell it, though. We recently punched a hole in our roof, and this machine, yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see the mouse or not. I think so. So, you got some LEDs installed, did you, Eric? Hey, Jermaine Spencer, how are you? Nice to see you in the chat here. So this machine right here, if you guys look at this black box, that's essentially the magic microwave. There's a yellow fiber up here, kind of looks like a Cat 5 cable. It's actually 25 strands of fiber. There's LEDs in the back that are powering the laser. This laser is 400 watts. Now, here's another thing I'm not going to test. But, hey, Deuce is Wild. I like it when, you know, and Deuce is Wild is right on. He says, make everybody a moderator, because then you have the blue and you have what they say. And when Jackson RC Aviation says, Deuce is Wild over here, that's what I see. And then I look at the name and I can tell who says that. So definitely nice that, you know, I see Jackson saying, hey, Deuces, what's going on today? So the other thing that I was saying that I'm not going to test is this 400 watt laser. from what the guy said is, if you were to put your hand out between the laser, you would not feel it go through. You just wouldn't feel it. So, is Dave Marshall dropping bombs and Jackson says goodnight? All right, so this machine in here is going to fire these lasers down to here. But what I've been working on all day is supporting these guys with getting this equipment hooked up. So I had to source all of these lines, get this filter, get these filters working, because if I provide dirty air to this machine, $17,000 worth of damage. And this argon is negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit, because it's the liquid argon that is off-gassing to produce the air for this machine. So obviously you're going to freeze your hand off if you let that argon out into the atmosphere. You know what I mean? And then we had to punch a hole in the roof, and this machine will push it through the roof. But, you know, this is some technology. I'm just going to walk you guys through this. You're going to be learning this. And I'm not saying that I'm tip of the spear, but that machine is tip of the spear. That's the forefront of technology. Right now, there's 1,000 of these type machines in America, 7,000 in the world. And yeah, Farmer Man's right. Freaking laser beams. Austin Powers, Dr. Evil. No joke, Farmer Man. I mean, if we were to take this 400-watt laser and point it at one of our RC airplanes, just slice it in half. You know? But I do want to do that one day. I do want to take a smaller powered laser and put it on a plane and fly behind somebody along with FPV. So that would just be sweet to do combat like that with airplanes with lasers. You would obviously on the ground, you should be wearing some goggles and not fly towards somebody. Maybe we should have a remote with the a button with the laser on it, right? So we're not just shoo, argon and lasers. So the argon, and the reason that we need air for this machine is, you guys know that there's a lot of nitrogen in the atmosphere. So we essentially provide it with a lot of air. The machine pulls out the nitrogen. Depending on what metal you are using, the machine is going to automatically pull from argon or nitrogen for its chamber. Because if you think about it, and what is definitely cool, you know, with that laser, it is making sparks. If you shoot titanium, it's going to make sparks. So we need an atmosphere that doesn't have any contaminants, and removes the contaminants that are made during the process. But we don't want to contribute any of them, and we don't want it to spark. RC Air Marshal, let's see if I'm walking into a joke here. He has me reading a long paragraph. So it turns out that 700-degree steam at 3,000 psi shooting through a hole the size of a needle will slice your limbs off and the cut would be cauterized. That's convenient. So that way you could just walk around like this, nice and convenient. You wouldn't have to bleed. Has anybody seen my arm? I think I'm missing it. ICBM killer. Definitely. It would be awesome to have a laser on a plane of any sort. Now, I've seen them out there. So how does this relate to planes? How many of you guys have seen the new 777X airplane? How many of you guys have seen the ends of the wingtips fold down? So it's this technology, this 3D printing, that's going to revolutionize airplanes, helicopters, turbines, jets. Okay? How is it that I'm so excited that I'm working with stuff like this? Hey, J Ray, how's it going? Come down and see my shop sometime. Although today was quite a hectic day. One of the things that happened is I got everything up and running. I text my boss who's out of town, and it's basically me running this show. I feel like I'm back in my New York State Department of Transportation, New York State Department of Transportation inspector days, because it's a lot of different crews managing to essentially when I say manage, I help them out. I mean that's what a manager or director or owner is doing. They're facilitating everybody to do their best. So I get everybody up and running, and that yellow air compressor spits out a quart of oil. I get the message that this guy who's setting up this machine, hey, your compressor just puked up a quart of oil. So what it turns out is, as the machine turns off, it decompresses and the oil goes back down. Well, I had noticed something. I did a check over the machine at first, and on the intake, I noticed something was loose. And that the guys were looking at it, and they're like, "Oh, that's fine. That's okay to be loose." I didn't think anything of it. Well, the reason it was loose was there's a little piece of plastic on top that wasn't secured. So when this thing was sucking air in, all of a sudden it got in between the valve. And when the machine depressurized, there was nothing, it couldn't close. So that oil, whoosh, straight out. And it's a 165 PSI machine. So, bam, 165 PSI, a quart of oil. Was Roy saying? Deuces Wild said, "That's cool, Roy." What's he talking about? Oh, my dad worked on the Star Wars Project Laser back in the 80s. That is cool, Roy. MIG weld back in. That basically what this machine is doing is it's welding. Wherever it wants to go, it travels at max 7 meters per second. But here's the fascinating thing, and here's why GE, that plane, the 77X, and all airplane engines from here on out are going to be changed, is if you think about a glove that you would make out of leather, you would make it out of two pieces, right? You would sew one half on one side, or you would have one half on one side, one half on the other, and you would like sew in between the fingers, right? So that's how you got it. There's no cows out there that give us leather in the shape of a hand. There's no CNC machines, no manufacturing technique that can make a piece of metal like this in the shape of a hand, as if you were to make a glove out of metal and then take it out. The other thing about this is not only can it do that, but it can leave your fingerprints inside. So it can build it in this layer like this, and here's what's special about it. It's the cooling. So now these engines that have traditionally been held back by the jet engines on GE and airplanes and rockets in general that have been held back by the limits of the metal and the temperature because they couldn't get them cooled fast enough. This machine can change that. It can provide you a path for cooling that technology beforehand could not do. Roy says, both my parents were in the laser development business. That is awesome, Roy. Maybe you were in the room when I was talking about this one. It's a fiber laser, 400 watt, class 4 laser. It's not something I want to play with. RC Air Marshal, nice, haha. So once upon a time, I was standing next to a pressurized hydraulic tank. It overpressurized and the relief valve popped. Oh yeah, spewed hydraulic oil all over me. I was soaked from head to toe. And some of that hydraulic oil can get warm too. Take the leather off the otters, says Nabby FPV. Brian Chambers. I was just looking at a $400 laser cutter that would cut birch to make tool harnesses and such pretty nifty machines. That's definitely cool. I looked at Glowforge is the laser cutter that I was looking at. It's pretty nice, Brian, what it can do. And one of the things I was thinking about that I would like is a laser on an arm and essentially cut an airplane wing, cut an airfoil. So if you could easily just program it to, you know, thinking about an airfoil, have it come down like that, you could make a pretty mean airfoil out of foam. And it's not too difficult these days to make some powerful lasers at the house. So essentially a CNC laser foam cutter. Now you guys may think that CNC or robotic arms, it may seem difficult, but there are robotic arms out there that you could essentially trace and it will store that program. So if you were to make a template of the shape of the profile, trace it, literally moving the robotic arm, and then put your foam there and say, repeat that. It will cut your I'm going to take that tip, Guniak. It will cut your profile for you for the wing. Windex works great on hydraulic oil. I'm going to have to try that tomorrow because that's the cleanup. But there's still, you know, my cleanup was taking 2 rags and doing like this on the floor with my feet and walking across. That was really all I got to do tonight, just to make sure there was no danger in the morning. 400 watt water cooled. Yeah, Brian, this there's my chiller over here on the side. So I had to go and get some distilled water for that. It essentially is, you know, running water throughout that entire machine to cool it off. My pop-off valve pops sometimes too. Why is that, Randy? Or do we know? Let's see. Wreckham Roy has had a couple hydraulic showers thanks to the curb machine he runs. You know, actually, Wreckham Roy, one of the reasons I'm showing off this machine is you shared your concrete machine. It's like I want to share this with you guys, along with the fact that this machine is going to be making airplane parts, and this machine actually will be making airplane parts for military vehicles, for NASA, for, you know, those who we're going to get contracts with. Because, like I was saying, it's all about the temperature regulation. It's just like the voltage and the amperage within the wires of what we run, the ESCs. You know, if we run too high of a voltage, we're going to be basically putting too much heat to our electronics. If we draw too much with our motors, then our wires are going to burn up because we have too much amperage being drawn. You know, so everything really is heat management, even within the battery for the charging, the discharging. So nowadays, you know, it almost seems to me as well that a battery that's, right, a square block, why would it not have a hollow tube right down the middle? I mean, that's the place where it's surrounded the most by batteries, so any heat that's generated inside there has to come all the way out to the outer edge in order to cool off. Well, why not give it a kickstart, a shortcut right down the middle? Seems to me that, you know, a battery maker would make that cost a little bit more, but I bet a lot of us would give it a shot and find out that it works. Batteries stay levelized. And, you know, even have it with a door that, or a valve, you know, that easily moves by metallic metal strip. Once it gets hot, it will open But once it's cool, because you want to build up a little bit of heat so it releases the chemical energy faster into electrical energy, then you want to keep it inside, just like a radiator, like a thermostat. You know what I mean? So yeah, this machine is what I was working on all day, 7 to 7, but it's a passion. You know, we're going to be putting titanium powder in this. This platform is going to lower one step at a time and put another layer of powder, zap it, another layer of powder, zap it. And that's going to have a part that we're going to have to cut off from a build plate. So fun on that. I'm going to put it back to the other image. Don't need to stay there all day long. Logi. All right, transition. Enough of that work talk. Talk airplanes. Is that direct fiber optic to laser tip, or is there any mirrors involved? Yes, there are 2 mirrors involved. And I guess that may be because it's moving on X and Y axis. Not exactly sure. I like that idea, Josh. I appreciate that, Wreck 'em Roy. Maybe you were talking about the battery. Deuces Wild says, sometimes I just want to blow shot up. I wonder if a laser will ignite tannerite. Tannerite, what is that? I don't know. I'm guessing it's something like thermo. What's the really hot stuff? Thermo. It is a pretty bitchin' machine, Wreck 'em Roy. Thank you very much. We look like you are at work. Me too. Oh yeah, Hanger? That may be good, maybe bad. Hopefully you're making some money for more planes. It is going to be a Gooniac. You know, and I want to keep sharing this stuff with you. With you guys, because it is amazing that we may not know it as a whole, but airplane parts, if you think about some of the stories that I've been hearing, I'm going to read Juice's comment. 150 milligrams of lead azite can destroy a 1-inch diameter A2 stainless pipe with just a 1/4 inch inside diameter. Cool. I won't mess with you, Deuces Wild, because I know some explosives, but I don't know anything about what you're talking about there, so you probably know a lot. Michael Rochka says, that's like they call it a diesel locomotive, but in reality, the diesel engine just powers a big compressor to run the air. Going up on me. The air in a big generator to power the traction motors. And traction motors would be, say, electric. Tannerite is highly volatile, explosive powder. GB Linden in the house. Hello. Craig says, hello, GB. What's up, Craig? Michael Rochka, that's like a nuclear submarine. It's not propelled by nuclear energy at all. It's propelled by 2 big-ass steam turbines. Yeah. Lots of heat in that submarine. That's basically what that does. Provides heat. And engineers have decided, hey, we can do this with this heat. We can do this. We can do that. EQ says, Deuces, have you ever seen the video on making a Ruger 22 rifle into an automatic? Just file something round. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. I'm a wealth of useless information. Hello, Wild Bill. And thank you, everybody who dropped some likes. Certainly appreciate it. So, yeah. I'm probably talking silly in some ways. Talking all sorts of wild, crazy stuff because I'm so tired. After this, I'm definitely going to go to sleep. Wake up again early. Maybe get out some emails like I tried to today, but I really didn't stop. Running all over the place to get this adapter, to get that pressure regulator for argon, for this, get this pipe. You know, that's basically was my day. Even if it's just running to the neighbors to get an electric extension cord. But all this to get up and running. The new GE engine that flew recently this past weekend on the 777X, that is revolutionary. I don't even know all of the things. It's kind of even hard to explain how different it is, but the stories I was hearing is GE has been ready for 3D metal printing for a long time, and they've also been having to wait for the technology to catch up. And that's what all of this is. It's really just technology and the programming, because it's laser going through powder. And it's a very finite process, but let's say if you guys were to recreate this by hand, you take some metal powder, you throw it down, you make your shape you want with a laser, you throw it down, but they've automated it. I'm going to be putting up CAD files into this thing and running the program and letting it go. GE has essentially said to the engineers, don't be constrained. Everything that you've wanted to do with an engine, design it. And so when these 3D printers hit the market, they were ready. They had their designs. I mean, I saw something today that a turbine engine in a helicopter, they went from 500 parts down to 8. They took 500 pieces of metal that took them months and months and months of manual, laborious CNC and what they call subtractive engineering. And they made it down, boiled it down to 5 parts they can print. They put those together, and not only did they save money and time and energy, but they're adding benefits that you can't see otherwise. So, and just so you guys know, this is going to go down to the turbine level as well on the RC airplanes. So if you think the prices have been dropping on the turbine motors for airplanes, they're going to drop even more, because we're going to be able to 3D print some of the very same things that are 10, 12, 20 times longer to manufacture. Let's see. John Rogers says, I like the bomb on submarines. The oxygenator with thin membrane. Is that like reverse osmosis or something that it does that generate the oxygen on the submarines with? Just reading through the comments. RC Air Marshal. Nuclear reactors are really good at boiling water and producing massive amounts of steam. Who'da thunk? Oh yeah, this is Wild talking about automobiles converted. Oh, okay. No, he's not automobiles. Semi-autos converted. Let's see. Oh, and Deuces Wild, you said you've machined lots of GE quartz. Is that like machined quartz for GE? Farmer Man's going to grab some chicken at Popeyes. That's cool that you guys have it all the way up there in Canada. Turbines, definitely. It's interesting that I told my boss on the first interview that I'm going to make a turbine. And I don't know whether he thought I was joking or what, but I told him, if you could produce a turbine engine, think about the same size that we have on our RC airplanes. If you could produce that and have it essentially demonstrated for a potential client, this is what's coming out of our shop. That's going to be powerful. And it turns out that we are going to be so far producing the impellers for the turbos within a car. So that's the same thing about how much quicker we can produce that same part that's going to take so long to CNC machine. Plus, along with reproducing it basically with one print, we can add those extra benefits, the extra channeling. One of the other things that we print as well at work is we lay, as we do a layer of basically nylon that has chopped carbon fiber in it, we can also run a layer of straight Kevlar or carbon fiber, like a continuous strand. So eventually we're going to start seeing in the hobby a wing that is 3D printed, right? Now, if you think about the Carbon Z, one of the things that made that so good is the different materials, the different layers of strength that was added in the right way so that those Carbon Z wings were solid. They responded very well. They were locked together. So now, with the technology that they have through Markforged, if you think about, and I think Farmer Man was talking about something about with the wings, they fold back, you know, the pressure. But if you were on the front side of the wing, able to have a continuous strand of carbon fiber, what if you were to try and bend that this way, the carbon fiber would keep it from bending. It would be in tension. It would say, nope, no bending. And the other thing is, if you were to have carbon fiber wrapped around, essentially, if you bent it this way, it would be in tension. If you bent it that way, it would be in tension. And then you can put foam around that. You know, I'm thinking the technology could come back to America, and in very expensive foam planes. In some ways, the quality is going to be so high, the strength, that it's going to be worth it for some of us to purchase them. If you think about, like, say, HSD with if you could imagine a 3D printed turbine for maybe, let's say, $500, and a plane for another $500, those would be rock solid. I'm thinking in my head a plane that is 3D printed, you throw some foam on it, and then you have a laser CNC off the excess parts. You don't need the mold. The mold just went away, you know. And when you are taking a laser and chopping it down at the correct speed, you have your surface to be dialed in just right so that it's smooth. You don't see anything. You're like Dave Marshall's talking about with that steam. You're cauterizing it, you know, at just the right temperature, just the right speed. Deuces says beer nuts are over $1 and deer nuts are under $1. So to me, that's where America can have the technology to print these planes, to manufacture these planes in America. We don't have to have them in China. You know, we don't even have to have a mold. Molds will be a thing of the past for these planes because the foam is only going to deal with the surface pressures and going to be spread out. You know, foam is actually really strong for compression. It's just the tension that it can't handle. It's basically just like concrete. So if you have an internal skeleton that you 3D printed and you put some foam on it, you have all of the strengths you need. The other thing about the 77X is those wings, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the fold out wingtips on those 777Xs, they're 11 feet for one tip, or it's like 5.5 feet. They used the world's largest 3D printer to make the mold for that skin on that airplane, along with the 3D printed parts that were inside the turbines. So a lot of you guys may be questioning, you know, guys and gals may be questioning, can you make a part within the engine that's the actual turbine? Can you make that, you know, that part spin? Just the tip. Yes, just the tip, GB. And the answer is yes. EQ, someone's going to build you a 3,000 meter B-17. Someone's going to build it for you, EQ. It could be me. I would definitely like it to be. I'm drinking Moosehead right now. Good for you, farmer. The other thing, if you guys don't know it, you know, there's so much technology out there in 3D printing. There's also powder that is the polymer or the nylon, and we have a machine that has a 200-watt laser for that. So just as we would melt metal and make it into the shape we want, layer after layer, we also have a machine that is polymer. So a lot of your cockpit plastic parts we can make out of that plastic. That way you can put that plastic into the cockpit and it's not going to melt out in the sun. You know, it's going to take quite a lot of heat. It's a 200-watt laser that is melting it into the shape that we want. So that's going to bring the price down tremendously on a lot of these parts, because not only can we do that, but we can also make molds out of this. We can do the prototyping. We can bring it to market so much faster than, okay, do we want to make this? Do we have to process this and machine this? No, we can go ahead and print it and just see how it looks, see how it fits, see if we like it. Just the shaft, says Bledsoe. How are you going to do just the shaft? I don't get that. How does that? Okay. He says, wait. GB's into quality. Good stuff. So as tired as I am from setting up these machines today, you guys can tell that I'm also excited for this. I mean, just spitballing here with you guys, I basically laid the framework for how you can make any plane you want. Colin, what's up? Weaver in all caps reminds me of the Wreck-'em Roys. Uh-oh. Roy's thinking about something. So yeah, I've basically laid the framework for how an airplane can have an internal structure printed out, make some foam, just shoot it out, and then a laser with whatever program you want to put in it can cut out the shape of any plane you want. Now, along with something like that, there are machines out there that can lay the wires within the printing, and they've done it for quads as well, drones. So think about your wires within your tail boom going all the way out to your tail feathers being embedded within a square rod, you know, that you could just slide in and out the fiery booty. You know, running wires would be a thing of the past. It would be a part of the rod, and that rod would also be your strength. It'd be a carbon fiber rod that would be the structure, the strength for your plane, and contain your electrical wires within it. So when we start talking about this, and we start talking about, you know, how can we make planes in America? We can print them. Michael Rochka is going to have 3D printed dreams tonight. Don't wake up too tired. get a good night's sleep, like I'm gonna try to, so we can go to work tomorrow. Are you Michael Rochka? Are you gonna be able to get back on a train anytime soon? No, I know you did something with your shoulders. Is that what it was? Yeah. What are those things? I gotta. Those people doing cartwheels and. First booty occurs as the result of too much. First fiery booty occurs as a result of that. Hello, Gary. Nice to see you. I check in with you every once in a while. It's always curious when I stop in your stream for me to see, like, what part of the flight you're in. Is it you're talking to us and responding to us, or you're flying? It's kind of like, I wish we had a text to voice if we're chatting to you, making comments while you're flying. If it would read them out, maybe the IX-12 sometime. That'd be pretty cool. I know you guys can talk to each other out in the field. You can make a phone call or something, right? Right, Dave? So the other thing about the GE engine is the ceramic material that they have that can take a lot of heat. So when you can manage the heat and the pressure, and you can get cooling in spaces that you typically couldn't cool, that new GE engine is like I was saying, revolutionary for the amount of thrust, the amount of compression, but one of the biggest things is the weight. It is so much lighter than other engines that that right there is the efficiency. A lot of us, we fly with bigger packs because it makes our plane punch through the wind. But if it's not a windy day, flying on a lighter pack, I mean, that's just great. You can do a lot more with your plane. You can be a lot more in tune with it than the heavy pack that you're basically forcing yourself to keep that speed in order to get that lift. So who all here does 3D printing? Any form of it, or any sort of design or even machine work? I know there's Dave Marshall, because he helped me pick out the Fusion 360. There's Dustin. He knows Fusion 360, and he does CNC machine work. Did you guys see that new machine that he had? The one doing the probe? That was pretty cool. I mean, these machines, we programmed them to help us out, to do things for us. What happened to Jerry's arm? Who, I'm not sure where that comment came from. I missed that one. Yeah, Dave says you can use your IX-12 for anything. Home automation, IX-12. Surfing fiery booty, IX-12. Ordering lunch. Cussing people out. So Wild Bill says he about cut it off with a 20x8. Deuces says he doesn't do 3D printing, but occasionally he does a little 3D flying. Yeah, that was pretty cool when you did that flying. If you guys didn't see that, check out Deuces Wild's channel. He did the 3D within real flight, and it was pretty cool. I was giving him a hard time because he made it simple. He took the camera, he put it on the screen, and he said, record. But along with that is it got the reflection of him. So as I'm like paying attention to the plane, every once in a while, it's like the ghost in the TV screen. You see somebody staring at you. Like, whoa, was he there the whole time? So that's what I was saying about Deuce's Wild Channel, along with the colors, and it was at night. So that's pretty cool. I used to run select solder machines. That is nice, you know. I mean, I saw some 3D printing with clay, so it was pretty nice what it can do. And you guys have probably seen a 3D printed machine putting out concrete. I mean, stuff like that, you know, if we get the right combination, we can have the concrete stay up on its own. Just keep going up and up, you know. Build anything we want in any shape. I actually bought dominoes. Oh, okay, something about IX12. Ordered some dominoes. Cool. Oh, a 20x8 prop. Okay. 20x8 prop. Boy, man. Excuse me. Bless that guy who got hit by a prop. 20x8. That's just big. Scary stuff. So the other thing that happened since I was on the stream is I went to my club's swap meet, or actually auction. Basically everything was auctioned off. I got a pair of Fat Shark goggles for $70. For $60, I got Easy OSD, and I basically took those at home, tested them, and I had all of the GPS signal, all of the OSD. The interface was good, camera worked. I'm not sure how good the screen is in the Fat Shark goggles, but I didn't actually want to wear them anyway. I really wanted the HDMI out and to be able to plug in my 1.2 gigahertz module. And this was something I was saying earlier. If you guys can remember my wandering mind, is what my wandering mind was talking about a while ago, is that I'm getting into the 1.2 gigahertz for the long range FPV, so that signal will punch through farther. It's like going, you know, with your cell signal. You're going from 3G, 4G, 5G, and that 5G is actually about where my long range video, well, actually my long range control that I want, which is Dragon Link, 433 megahertz. The video is 1.2. You guys know that, you know, the remotes are 2.4 gigahertz, but if you guys don't do FPV, you may not know that or pay attention to the different video signal channels that you can use out there, especially when you're talking about European channels versus US channels. And you gotta make sure you get the US legal channels, which we have 2 of them in the 1.2, 1.3 range or something like that. But you know, these signals, you can reach out for miles, too easy. And one of the things that I'm going to do is put this same FPV system on a RC truck, so I could drive it FPV nice and far out there, and as long as I'm line of sight for my 2.4 radio control, I'll be able to reach out there pretty far as well. All right, farmer, I'll see you later. I'm like, if you guys are new to the stream, welcome those who just arrived. I am dead tired, overtired, very long, satisfying day, getting machines hooked up, running all over the place, pressure regulators. You know, if I sent dirty air to this 3D printing machine, that could cost $17,000. So I'm making sure I get things hooked up correctly, making sure I'm not sending that machine oil or water or particulates. So, you know, a lot of thought and energy put into this to do it right. But it's all good. Randy says he's adding ball links to 0.47 gram push rods. What is the I'm not familiar with, say, when you refer to ball links like that, 0.47 gram. I've never referred to them like that. Deuces Wild says, "Hi, my name is Mike. Mark. I'm addicted to RC planes. Talk amongst yourselves." Yeah, Deuces also has the truck videos out as well. Maybe that's the ... to RC planes and trucks. Probably flown a helicopter or two. Cheers, guys. Deuces needs a AA group. Anti-aircraft, Wayne? Possibly. Oh, one thing I didn't show you guys as well. Let me see if I can get that to you guys. You guys may like this. So today, as I'm driving around, guess what's flying overhead? The Reaper. Yeah, seriously. Let's see, yeah. So that's the picture I took today of it. As I'm driving around, and that was out my side window, my right window. So as I'm driving down the road, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get a picture of that. And then, what's up, Captain? Randy is telling us about his cup size again. And the other thing I did, let's see. So that's the Reaper as I was stopping at one of the shops. It was flying right overhead, and I was like, I got to get this for these guys. You know, this is me sticking. As I'm going down the road, I just quickly stuck my hand out. I mean, the thing was flying around me. Like literally, as I'm driving down the road, I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to get this shot. And he's banking around this way, banking around that way. And I'm like, I wonder if he's doing basically a full circle around me. And it certainly was. And it looked like somebody having a fun time. I'm like, man, somebody's over here at this Hancock Airfield flying around a Reaper, FPV, having a good time. It probably did already drop the payload. Hopefully overseas somewhere. Deuces Wild. Everyone stop what you're doing. The captain is here. Reapers are creepers. Oh yeah, and Randy says 0.47 grams, Josh, is the size wire I'm using for my 540 edge push rods. Gotcha. So even when I was at work, my building, the Reaper was flying right over. I don't know if you guys ever looked at the technology or looked into how it flies. EQ says, Josh, hopefully I'll be getting the EC-1500 ordered Friday and start the next project. Gunship Paratroopers Transport. You better believe that, EQ. That would be so awesome. I actually found some pictures, maybe I can show you as well, for me walking into the back of a C-17. It was a combat jump. So when I say combat for jumping out of a plane, you're loaded down. Let's say you weigh 150, 200 pounds. You're putting on another 150. So you could be jumping out of that plane instead of 150 pounds at 300 pounds. Hey, Pilot Ryan, welcome back. So I got a couple of these pictures, and one of the pictures, as I look at it, is the chalk next to me. You know, you go up in a chalk. That's what they call, you know, you can have, say, 4 chalks. Chalk 1, 2, 3, 4. The guy next to me, as we were waiting to get onto the plane, because you got to walk from your seat out to the plane. Now, they park it right quick. It's not like, you know, way out there, but still. And he's just like bowed over in pain, and he's just like, you know, letting his ruck and his parachute do like this. And the other thing is, as you're walking out there the whole time, you have to also keep your hand over the reserve. You know, it's not a joke that if you pull that pin, it's spring loaded parachute that's going to pop out. So yeah, I'll get those pictures. Maybe I'll put them on a video here sometime soon. A lot of my military pictures, I was just going through memory lane the other day. When I talk about C4, that was a picture that I have in there. It's a couple pounds of C4 in this hand, a couple pounds of C4 here. And it's up in Missouri. That's the same spot where they test the A-10s and the Gatling guns on those. So as we were blowing stuff up, there was A-10s in the area shooting their guns. So we would have to wait to blow stuff up for them so that we, you know, wouldn't blow them out of the sky and stuff like that. But it is so nice to hear those weapons, whether you are in the States in training or overseas in Afghanistan. You hear those weapons going off, it just sends chills down you and says, you know, thank God I'm an American. That's what I think about it. You know, those guys are on my back. They watch my back. Ricky, give me my watch back to me. You had it 3 months now, taking pics at Starbucks. That's what Randy says to the captain. So, you know, I was addicted to planes before I even knew I was addicted to planes. When I was in the military watching Blackhawks, mostly Apaches. If you guys have not seen an Apache fly essentially up close, or let's just say in person, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that they fly like this, you know what I'm saying, with this attitude, and yet they have the weapon, you know. It's just so aggressive. Something about it that makes your eyes so drawn to it. It's crazy. I like looking at all of them, whether it's Chinooks carrying heavy loads, carrying a heavy Humvee, or a Black Hawk. But yeah, Apaches, they're beautiful to see them fly. Jeff's Custom RC, how are you tonight, buddy? Welcome, welcome. Seems like a lot of you guys are getting warmed up. I appreciate the time here. I hope I'm entertaining. Long day, but you know, these are planes I'm talking about. These are things that I've jumped out of. I loved for the protection, and I think there's always that childhood that I see in my kid. You know, along with this this auction at my club and getting things that I want to play with, I got him a really nice helicopter, and he just loves it, and it looks great. It may never fly again. And I told the guy that. He wanted to sell me some other parts, and I'm like, this thing may not ever fly again. It was funny because, you know, we're talking about, say, IX-12s, 20s, that, is it Dave Marshall? Is that who's giving away the IX-20 when he hits 1,000? Which is probably not far. Congratulations on that, man. You know, you really put some effort into that, and you definitely earned every one of those subs and all of that. And it's not about the subs. It's about helping those in the hobby as well, just as much, if not more. And I imagine it is. Only 15 likes, 16. Thank you for reminding people, Wayne Lee. Certainly is appreciated. You know, I was talking to GB as well here recently, and I was telling him, I think we could do a lot more as well to be a well-rounded channel and to pull in people from other areas. And these streams do. We have something in our community that not everybody has. I tell you, I could not imagine if you said to me 6 months ago that you're going to go and work a 12-hour day and then you're going to go home and talk about planes every Wednesday. And, instead of, say, going to sleep. You're going to be excited enough to talk to these guys every week about these airplanes, to, like Guniak says, help others in the hobby, share your talents. The fiery booty that Guniak shares with us. And so many of you guys have pieces that Guniak put together by hand. He soldered himself, and others are flying with them. I mean, that's a great hobby. Not just sending somebody something and it sits on a shelf. You're putting it into the air. You're wiring it up. He did the diligence to make sure it works, to, like a professional, make sure that no matter who the end user is, he's supporting them to make sure that they can wire it up. They can add it to their plane, put it in the air, and have a show. Add something to the hobby. Add something to their plane. It is fascinating. I think a lot of you guys don't know how cool what it is you do, how impressive what it is you do. I mean, when I talk to people, and I probably like you guys, but my point is that when I say to people, my plane is remote control, RC airplanes, their eyes always light up. They smile, and they feel something, and they feel what it is that we feel all the time. Why we keep going back. Whether we crash, we go back up. Let's read this. Jeff's Custom RC. Prayers for the victims of the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. Every family member, since we're all somewhat pilots here. What this community's thinking, weather, pilot error, thoughts. Yeah, share your thoughts on what I think was fog related. I don't think that helicopter would have went down if it had not been that foggy. But that's one of the other things that I like about this hobby as well, Jeff, is that I'm getting to know the full scale helicopters, because I call us, we're pilots. We are scale pilots versus full scale pilots, but pilots. Along with learning the history that goes with all of these planes. I mean, it is crazy that here we are every week coming back, to talk about these planes, to learn a little bit more, to help each other a little bit more. Yes, the fiery booty is but an example of some of the things that we all do. So Deuces Wild says something about Taco Bell induced. You guys can figure out what that is. But yeah, definitely a lot of people in here right now. 20 likes, 23 viewers. That's awesome. I mean, that's practically 100%. I can't ask for any more, and I don't like to. I think we should all remind each other about what we can do to support each other in the hobby. A lot of you guys know but a reminder is good. And not just for me, for everybody. You know, for other people's channels. A like or a comment is free. You know, a lot of times I like to make sure I comment in a way so that the person watching the video really knows I paid attention. You know, that I am thinking along the same lines as them. You know, and I try to think about what they're going for. What was the purpose of filming this flight? Maybe I got it. Maybe I didn't. You know, what did they think? Or tell them what you liked about it so that they can be more in tune with what they may produce later on. Because we all want, you know, suggestions from each other. But definitely the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, if you're stopping in, they all help everybody. Just Custom RC says, I think the flight control tower shouldn't have made him hold position for 15 minutes. Lots can change in conditions in 15 minutes. So, Jeff, what do you mean by that comment? He held position for 15 minutes and then maybe weather changed? Deuces Wild says, I wish regular people in the military folks got the media coverage when there's a crash and loss of life. Celebrities get instant coverage, yet it's sad the loss of Kobe and all those on board. It is. You know, we had someone stop in here new to the stream, planes, rockets, and table tennis, and he said the name of those pilots and that they were also air show pilots. You know, I would not have known that had that person not come in here and said that. So it's definitely cool. Busy airspace out there. We had a jet shot down the other day, Mike. Terrible. Who got shot down? What jet? We're all sisters in this. We all need support. Is that out of a movie, Wayne? Okay. So they had to hold for other planes out there to move through the area. Control tower made them hold position until other planes landed. So they may have been trying to land and they have to hold position. That stinks. But yeah, that's what some of the guys at work were saying, you know, is they were saying if we regular folks died, they would just say regular folks died. 3 people died. And I was like, no, they wouldn't say anything. It'd just be a helicopter crash goes down. If they say that at all, you know. Guniak says a military helicopter went down recently. That really does stink. I don't pay attention to the news as much as I used to, and I didn't know that. So, was that a military helicopter that was stateside or overseas? And it's crazy, you know, how much risk there is in all of this. And the helicopter crashes, the plane crashes, if you guys don't know it, you know, or don't think about it as much, what somebody said on a video that I watched is it's not ever one thing that makes a helicopter crash. It's always something that causes a distraction that allows something else to happen that is the crash. So it's something that causes a distraction and something else makes the vehicle crash. So that's pretty much the case here. Something is the fog, The distraction is they had to sit there for 15 minutes and then they crashed. But Air Force jet in Afghanistan, 4 on board. Oh man, bless their souls. That definitely stinks. Yeah, they have names and are people. That's what my wife was saying for a couple days is, I don't want to keep hearing about one person's name. I want to hear all the names. And she was saying there was something on Facebook that has a list of all the names. And it was nice. Like the person who came in the stream, the 2 names, I wish I remembered them. But they were Sikorsky helicopter pilots that did air shows. Maybe tomorrow, when this stream gets posted, oh, look at this. John Rogers got the names. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Kobe. Don't fly in fog. My defensive driving course teaches that fog is the most dangerous driving condition, and half of highway crashes comes through the truck beds. Comes from truck beds. I can imagine that fog is like driving at 12 o'clock or 2 or 3 on a Friday or Saturday night. Nothing good happens. You would be safe to pull off, and not just pull off, but pull off with something behind you, because those other cars coming up, it's not good. Yeah, somebody else, Deuces Wild, saying distraction creates the event. Wayne Lee, special awareness. It says fog makes pilots dizzy. Object fixation. As much as I think object fixation, I think of lack of object fixation. I mean, you can't always lock on to something, and then if anything else moves, because like when you're scanning in the woods for the enemy as a soldier, your eyes are trained differently, because you're sweeping, but you're always looking for that movement. And that's what it is that makes you see a little bit better. You're just fine-tuned for that movement. But like when there's fog, your brain, instead of letting the movement come to you and just kind of letting it happen, you have to actively go out and look for things. So your brain is on hyper alert and it gets tired. Yeah, the brain burns a lot of energy, and you're not getting enough blood up there. It's going to get worn out, and it's going to get fatigued, and you're going to get dizzy, and something's going to happen. Eric, you flew in a MASH Bell at the heli ride? That is awesome. What was that helicopter like? Is it open? That's what I picture those as. Pretty much open to like a B-17, non-pressurized cockpit and all that. Blackie is crazy. Don't get in with him. Captain says, I have known 2 friends that died in a heli, and it's tragic. It definitely is. Oh, there's planes, archery. Oh, archery and table tennis. I thought it was rockets. Okay. He does helicopter air shows. Okay. Blackie Schwartz, the Red Bull guy. Was that one of the guys that crashed in the helicopter? Was like a Red Bull helicopter pilot? Deuces Wild says he got caught in Thule fog on the California Delta in my boat. That was scared as shit. I can imagine. That's like Bermuda Triangle type stuff right there, where you know you're so disoriented that you could get lost and travel until you're out of fuel and not hit anything, and then you're just say drifting. Every plane that goes up comes down. I don't know if the Bermuda Triangle is anything different than that. Maybe. But okay, so Plains Archery and Table Tennis says Wayne Lee 6:30. Yeah, I saw him, Blackie Fly, and they said he used to escort injured people to hospitals. Dang, that must have been a heck of a ride. Gyrocopters are safer. They can glide if power cuts out. Helis fall straight down. I'm pretty sure though, Deuces Wild, that every helicopter can also gyro down. But that in this case, they may not have had that chance because you have to know where the ground is. You have to flare at the right time, just like say landing with a helicopter. But I'm pretty sure that any helicopter, if it is, and they're taught this to gyro down, if they get their glide slope right, they still have enough energy to flare so that they land without breaking the bank, but they got to get it just right. And it's basically like landing, except 10 times landing an airplane, except 10 times more difficult. But, because it's so difficult, not everybody's going to get it right. And a lot of them that try it and they know what to do still don't get it right. Picking up crash victims is serious business. It definitely is, Wayne. Wreckham Roy says, I think they just flew into the mountain. I think you're right, Wreckham Roy. But didn't we also hear something about some fire? Was it? I know there was fire on the ground. They said that it hampered the rescue, but was there also fire in the helicopter? Death spin on the way down, as if it lost rudder control. It burst into flames on impact. So it may, okay. Well, that stinks. So luckily it went down hard, and if they already died, that they perished quickly. Okay, so Blackie didn't die in this crash. She wasn't in there. Yeah, and Justus was talking about using his air horn. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran out of air. Yeah, Guniak is saying the right conditions. Most definitely. It's watch a YouTube video on helicopter auto rotation. That's what somebody put in here. They spelled it out for me. EQ is saying clear bubble. This is for the MASH type helicopter that he flew in. Can see everything, bro. I would point at a gauge. He would tell me what it was. He says he didn't take the sticks. That would be a difficult thing to fly. It would be awfully scary. But I'm thinking more and more that I could get used to flying a helicopter. But I think you have to be in tune with the helicopter to know when you can do this and when you can do that, And then your pedals are just your yaw. I think it's your power and your pitch that will bring you up. But really that stick is lean left, lean right, lean forward, lean back. And then you have your pitch as well. So therefore you would lean forward and maybe say change your pitch. I think it's probably not much more theoretically complicated. In actuality, it is. But you got to be in the mindset to even try. But it's not one of those things where I would take one of those backyard helicopters that you see people go up in and they do this and that and the other. That's crazy. I would fly a backyard helicopter or airplane. I would fly an ultralight. It would be in the right conditions, basically like an airplane where you have plenty of runway and then you let it lift off. Like I'm going to be, whenever I do fly an airplane, I'm going to be completely scared to give it up elevator. That's the thing, that's the other distraction that makes people perish in planes. Up elevator. Randy says he flew in a Robinson Raven R-44 in 2006. Setting on a helipad, the rotor was spinning. I thought it was going to shake apart. As soon as he got off the pad, the ground it was smooth like a baby's butt. It is smooth. I've flown around in Blackhawks and Chinooks. Chinooks are a little bit more. They're a little bit louder, a little bit. When you're sitting inside one, it feels like there's a lot of almost grinding the floor. It's, you got, I don't know, one or two turbines, a lot of gears rotating around. But yeah, the Blackhawks, it's a little bit loud, but not shaky or anything like that. Somebody says their dad was a crew chief. Let's see. Guniak says my dad was a crew chief in Vietnam. CH-46. That's awesome, Guniak. That's really cool. What is it? The rich dad, poor dad flew. You know what I'm talking about? The author of that book. He was in Vietnam. Pretty sure he was a pilot. Read that they were going 165. Who was going 165? The helicopter? Holy moly. Auto rotation. Wayne Lee said it. Helis are very valuable in everyday life. They are. Also, a problem is vortex ring state. Not sure what that is, Wayne, but I'm guessing it's something where it's almost getting caught up in its own wake. That's you guys know that was the issue with the stealth Black Hawk that went in for Osama bin Laden. It basically went into the compound with the walls and it got into its own wake in the turbulence and it had, an issue. And Farmer Man went to McDonald's. Wayne Lee says no. No fire. Was that what they were screaming? Or are you just saying no fire? No fire before it hit the ground. Tail rotor failure. So how did so is this like helicopter crash something that was just, the odds? Because tail rotor goes out in a helicopter. It's not really a lot you can do. They usually go down pretty hard. I mean, I start thinking about things that they can do as a safety, but, there's not much. The only thing I think of like right away is almost like a fan or something, just to, as you as the helicopter wanted to start spinning, it would be essentially blocking by air, or blocked by air. But then again, that's infrastructure. That's something that's going to add weight. I mean, I guess it could be a sail, right? If you had some fabric that essentially, once you knew your tail was out, something went out in fabric, that would just keep you from spinning so fast. It wouldn't be all that much weight, you know what I mean? And it wouldn't have to be very big, because if you extended it out, it would have a lot of torque, a lot of arm on it. I imagine, Guniak, they all do auto rotations differently based on the weight and how they're meant to fly under normal conditions. 12 to 18 months for a report, guys. Definitely, because all of this is conjecture until we actually know. Deuces says he'd rather go down in a plane. At least with fixed wings, you have a chance of dead sticking it to the ground. But it's really the same thing, Deuces, as a helicopter and a plane dead sticking to the ground. I think it's just a matter of odds. Your odds are higher in an airplane because, we've heard a lot of stories about airplanes. What's the there's a saying or something, the deadliest turn or something, and I think it's when an airplane takes off and their engine is out and they try and turn back to the runway, and really they should just keep going, in that direction, keep their energy going forward so they can find a good spot, and they mess up. So planes essentially do what we're talking about here with falling out of the ground, and they stall. We all know that. But those are actually the stories that I think about when I think about flying a plane. Because if I'm terrified of a single engine plane, because if that engine goes out, I'm going to crash. No, it's get to the next spot and you'll actually be fine because you can glide there. So I just realized it is 9:30. I definitely want to hand you guys off to GB. I'm opening up this so I can get you guys the link to his stream, and we'll be able to check in with him. I got this link. I'll put it in here for you guys, so you guys can simply click on that. But I want to say good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure having you in the stream. Here is the link. Please do click on that. See you guys in GB's room. Josh Weaver, RC, out. No glide in the heli? You got a little bit, Jeff. You can glide. Good night, Deuces. Good night, Wayne. Good night, Jeff. EQ. Thank you, Gary. Good night. Good night, EQ, my brother. Have a good one. Man, I can't wait to see you guys in the fall. Yes, I will, Wayne. I'm going to be definitely sleeping like a baby tonight and getting up early tomorrow. Get some laser printers going. Help these guys. They're awesome technicians in for the week to get this machine up and running. Stay, Ricky. We will stop picking at you, says Wayne. Yep. See you guys at GB's. I'm going to end this stream. Thanks, everybody. Here again is GB's link. Click on that one.